I am not a fan of Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'd be lying to you if I said that the direction of his character over the past decade and a half hasn't been interesting if nothing else. The characterization of everyone's favorite black and red hedgehog over the years has been relegated to simply being Sonic's rival, and fans have come to resent this idea greatly because while it's true that he's always been Sonic's rival, Shadow was always much more beyond the archetype of an edgy rival character in a shonen anime. The characterization of Shadow has been a popular yet divisive topic amongst the Sonic fandom. A lot of people love his SA2 character arc, which was an individual originally driven by hate, who later realized that he made a promise to his special friend and helped save the world at the cost of his own life. Or so we thought. A lot of people like his Sonic 06 character, who has evolved into actively taking part in protecting the world as part of GUN. Shadow in this game is a no-nonsense character. He doesn't talk for long and is usually concise whenever he does.
Don't be late. Same to you.
These two iterations of Shadow's character has inspired a lot of fans to create their own ideas of who Shadow is. The one that I find most interesting is how Shadow has caught this label of being an asshole.
What an asshole!
And that is what I want to focus on. This idea that Shadow is simply just an asshole. I personally don't know or understand how this idea came about. I remember the story for SA2 and Heroes, and I can't remember if Shadow has ever once been an outright asshole to anybody. Heck, even in Sonic 06, despite his more straight-to-the-point character, he wasn't like this. So what exactly gave fans this idea that Shadow was ever just an asshole? Now, to be fair to these people, there are a few moments in some games where he does act like one, but I'd argue that there are more moments of Shadow being more than just an asshole. As for why people think Shadow is just some brooding meanie, again, I don't fully understand why, but I think I might have an answer for it. Shadow the Hedgehog has been dubbed as the ultimate life form upon his creation. He can wield chaos energy in ways that very few other members of Sonic's world can. His power rivals that of the Blue Hedgehog himself. Shadow's the shit and he knows it, so naturally he holds himself to a higher esteem than he may for others, which makes Shadow arrogant, which does line up with characteristics that people would often describe as an asshole. But Sonic is also described as a cocky and impatient person, but rarely have I ever seen anyone call Sonic mean or an asshole. Let's take a look at a few games that feature Shadow to get a better idea of what I'm talking about here. We've already covered Shadow's story in SA2, but there are no moments where he's being a prick to anybody in this game. Shadow is a mysterious being who wanted nothing more than to fulfill his wish to Maria. He actually saves Rouge after she tells him she's stuck in the security hall vaults. He didn't have to do that. Shadow could have just as easily taken the emeralds alone and dipped, but he obviously saw value in having Rouge around. The two were practically joined at the hip as partners damn near every time we see them appear in Sonic games. They went from an unlikely team to a formidable duo. In Team Dark's story in Sonic Heroes, Shadow is woken from his slumber in Eggman's base by Rouge and is put into another unlikely team alongside the Bat and E123 Omega. The trio go on a journey to find Eggman and get what they want out of him. Shadow specifically wants to know if he's the real deal. Go listen to Shadow's voice lines and watch those cutscenes. Shadow's character originally had such a flair to him that hasn't been conveyed since. He sounds like a more arrogant Sonic, and that's not a bad thing because Shadow's his own person with his own unique relationships to the characters. The dude cracks a teasing joke with Rouge after she says she's gonna go steal the Master Emerald again.
All this for what? Nothing? I might as well go look for that Master Emerald, since that irritating Echidna is here.
Some things never change, do they?
What are you saying? What else is a famous treasure hunter supposed to do?
In Sonic Battle, Shadow is dealing with the existential crisis of why he was created. He is dead set on the belief that he's a weapon of war, despite being created to help the people on Earth. He even says that he hates that he's meant to bring peace to the world, but it's not some edgy one-off line. Shadow wants to have control over his own destiny, his purpose. There's not really much evidence of him being an asshole in this game either. It's more of a matter of Shadow's state of mind in the moment making him more aggressive. Otherwise, he is a more reserved character who just doesn't talk much. No, I'm not bringing up Shadow's titular 2005 video game because that game's story is just a mess. And it's canon, but it's not canon at the same time, if that makes any sense. The beginning cutscene and the last story are definitely canon, but the way you get from point A to point B isn't necessarily. know people are going to point out the opening cutscene and the way he doesn't even think about helping humanity until it benefits himself, but in the final story of that game, he is literally shocked by Black Doom's plan to enslave humanity and stops him from doing so. So the first cutscene is literally just awful writing, written purely for the sake of making Shadow an edgy asshole for no justifiable reason. I'm sure there's some fan forum out there that has listed canon of events that should be followed in the game, but Iizuka himself has said that the true path is the pure hero path. No offense to that man, but he also came up with the two worlds theory, and that theory is pretty much dead to rights at this point, so I'm not exactly inclined to believe everything Iizuka says about Sonic canon. Even if you want to take his word for it, that would mean that Shadow truly has never been an asshole, because if anything, the pure good path will only put his own brand of heroism and pride on display. I have my own thoughts about the true path of this game, but that's a conversation for another time. In Sonic 06, Shadow's story is kinda tragic in a sense. When it's revealed that one of his comrades, E123 Omega, is responsible for sealing him away when humanity turns on him, he doesn't lash out and push everybody away. He simply finds the resolve to defeat Mephiles with the help of his team. Who can forget what is honestly a classic moment in such a bad game?
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
Shadow will literally fight the world, but not on some edgy the hedgy nonsense. He will only lash out if the world decides he is too much of a threat for them to handle. We could take it a step further and look at other games too if you want. In his interaction with Sonic in Colors DS, he goes out of his way to make sure Sonic isn't just messing around when trying to stop Eggman. He just wouldn't admit that he cares for the Blue Hedgehog to some capacity. We can go even further and look at Sonic Forces, where he's shown concern for Omega after Infinite basically destroyed the death-mongering Big Red Machine. Is this guy really just an asshole? I know that there are mandates on how the characters are supposed to be written, but even Shadow, flanderized to hell and back, isn't simply a mean and angry person. He's expressed concern for other characters in his own way multiple times throughout these games. I'd argue Shadow has showed more compassion than outright dismissal for those around him. Another example of this comes in Sonic Freeriders of all games, where Shadow genuinely shows more concern for the blue robot that Rouge recruits for their racing team more than Rouge herself does. He literally says this.
Allow me to rest.
You're not nearly as tough as you look, are you?
Well, for a random robot we picked up off the street, I'd say he's doing pretty well. Hey, you alright? Hold it together.
His timing's just great. That cash prize is just one more race away.
If you don't believe me, let's go again. This victory will be in honor of our fallen comrade.
He just does things in his own unique way. Under that rugged exterior, he's a good guy, even if he isn't written with much care these days. Not to go off on a tangent or anything, but I hate that Shadow nowadays is essentially just there to pander to the late 90s and 2000s kids who grew up playing the mid-2000s Sonic games ad nauseum. His character lacks any depth it once had in favor of, look at how cool Shadow is, isn't he so cool, guys? It annoys me, and I hope Sega allows whoever will write future Sonic games to give Shadow something more interesting whenever he's involved. While we're here, I also don't fully understand this notion of Shadow being morally ambiguous either. He works for the government agency responsible for protecting the world and hasn't worked with Eggman in any capacity since Sonic 06. I know that Shadow hasn't gotten much screen time in the game since then, but Shadow is 1000% a good guy. At the end of the day, despite his rugged exterior, along with his intense sense of pride, I can safely conclude that Shadow the Hedgehog is not just an asshole.
He said it! He said it!
He is thoughtful. He doesn't usually speak much unless it's about the task at hand. He's capable of showing gratitude, but can be a little off-putting at other times. He's not some precious little being who does it all for Maria, and he's not some morally conflicted character filled with hate as he's badly portrayed to be in some aspects of the franchise. I don't quite know how to describe Shadow as a character, but just like I said about Sonic's character in my video about the Blue Hedgehog, he isn't what a lot of people make him out to be. He's more than that. Special shout out goes to all the people who took the time to watch this video. Thanks for watching. Check out my other stuff while you're here. That's all I got for now, so peace.